Most ownership problems don't even start with bad intentions. They start with no conversations. Hi everyone, welcome to the Vibe Lab. I am your host for today's episode, Ali Oceans. I'm an entertainment lawyer, a founder of Creatico, TEDx speaker, creative entrepreneur, and most importantly, someone who has spent years helping creatives protect, grow, and monetize their work. At Creatico, we believe creatives deserve more than talent. They deserve knowledge, ownership, opportunities, and systems that help them build sustainable careers. And that's exactly why the Vibe Lab exists. This is a place where we break down the creative economy in a way your school, your mentors, and sometimes even the industry never did. If you are a creative, this is your reality check and upgrade all in one place. Let's get into it. You know what's funny? Some of the most expensive lessons I've learned in my life weren't taught in a classroom, not in secondary school, not in university, not even in law school, and definitely not on Instagram. The expensive lessons came from realizing that there are things everyone assumed I knew, not because of anything. They just assumed I knew them, but nobody had actually taught me. And the more I worked with creatives, the more I realized it wasn't just me. They had musicians, photographers, designers, writers, filmmakers, content creators, brand strategists, jewelry makers. Everyone was talented, but everyone was confused about something. And that is what today's conversation is about, because I genuinely believe most creatives do not have a talent problem. We have an information gap problem. Let's start with the lie. The lie sounds innocent. In fact, most of us were raised on this. Guess what the lie is? If I'm good enough, everything else will work out. Raise your hand if you've ever believed that lie before. And in fact, don't. This is a podcast, so I obviously cannot see, but I know you have, because I have too. We were taught to focus on the work, get better, practice more, improve your craft, and all of that matters a lot, trust me. But here's what nobody tells you. Talent gets you noticed, knowledge keeps you protected, and structure helps you grow. I've seen incredibly talented creatives sign terrible deals. I've seen gifted creators hand over ownership of work they spent months to create. I've seen people go viral and still not know how to make money from their attention. Talent isn't the problem. Information is. Now let's talk about ownership. I'm going to ask you a quick question. Do you own your work? Most creatives immediately will say yes. Trust me, you will say yes. But sometimes I ask a second question. How do you know you own your work? And that's where the silence starts. A while back, I had a conversation with a creative who worked on a project. Amazing work. Everybody loved it. The project became successful. Then, months later, there was a disagreement. Suddenly, people were asking, who owns what though? Who can use what though? Who can commercialize what? Who can license what? And nobody knew the answer. Why? Because nobody had discussed it. Everybody assumed. An assumption is very, very, very expensive. Imagine baking a cake. You bake the cake, you decorate the cake, carry the cake to the party, and then finding out your name isn't on the cake. That's how some creatives feel when ownership conversations show up late. The painful part, most ownership problems don't even start with bad intentions. They start with no conversations. And ownership isn't the only place assumptions shows up. It shows up somewhere else. Guess where? Vibes. Vibes. Creative people love vibes. We really, really do. We love seeing things like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. We are friends, we are family, let's just start. And honestly, these words have probably caused more creative dispute than evil has. Because the problem isn't that people are bad. The problem is that memory is unreliable. Two people can leave the same conversation with completely different expectations. One person thinks, oh, we're equal partners. The other person thinks, I'm just helping out. Another person thinks, we'll split profits. Another person will still think, in that same meeting, there won't be any profit to split. And then 6 months later, everyone is shocked. I call this the WhatsApp agreement era. People are building businesses worth millions, billions on voice notes and prayer points. And when things go wrong, everybody suddenly becomes an historian. I thought we agreed. No, that's not what I said. Oh, you misunderstood. That's not what I meant. A simple agreement could have saved everybody all this nonsense stress. Now let's talk about the topic that gets people's attention. And it's going to get your attention too. Money. Money. Now, this one is pretty personal because most creatives think the goal is getting paid. Darling, the truth is getting paid and building wealth are not the same thing. Think about it. I mean, a creative receives 200,000 naira. Amazing. Everybody celebrates. The creator celebrates. The bank account celebrates. Their friend celebrates. But nobody is asking, what right did you give away to earn that 200,000 naira? Could that work continue earning money later? Could it be licensed? Could it be reused? Could ownership have been retained? These are questions many creatives never, ever ask. Now, this is not because they are careless. It is because nobody thought them. And if nobody teaches you the difference between income and ownership, you will spend years chasing payments instead of building assets. Notice something. Everything you've discussed, or everything we've discussed tonight, everything we've discussed in this episode comes back to the same issue. Ownership, agreements, money. None of these are talent problems. These are information problems. These are structure problems. These are education problems. The tragedy is that most creatives spend years blaming themselves for things they are actually knowledge gaps on. Yes, they spend years blaming themselves for things that are just actually knowledge gaps. Imagine telling or trying to play a game where nobody gives you the rules and then getting frustrated because you are losing. That's how many creatives are navigating their careers. And honestly, this is one of the reasons why we built Creatical. Because I got tired of seeing talented creatives lose opportunities they should have been able to keep. I got tired of seeing creators work hard but remain confused about ownership, contracts, leverage, and value. And that's exactly why we decided to create the educational part of our company, the Build Lab. That is why Build Lab exists. Not because creatives need more motivation. We are done with that. Not because creatives need more inspirational quotes. This is not where you find that. Not because creatives need another place to network, but because creatives deserve access to the information that changes outcomes. So here's what I want you to do after this episode. Grab a notebook or open your note app really and answer these 3 questions honestly. What do I own? 2. What agreements am I currently operating without? 3. How does my creativity make money beyond being paid once? Listen, if you struggle to answer any of these questions, I need you to know that that's not failure. That is your next area of growth. And if this conversation did challenge you, share it with another creative. Because the truth is, somebody else needs this reality check. The creative economy is changing and changing pretty fast. The creatives who thrive won't necessarily be the most talented. They're going to be the most informed. So make sure you are one of them. Very, very important. If this episode made you rethink how you move as a creative, then you are already ahead of most of the people in this industry. But thinking is not enough. Structure is the next step. We'll see you in the next episode of the Vibe Lab. I'm Ali Oceans. Keep creating, but more importantly, keep learning. Bye.